Want to turn your flat photos into jaw-dropping professional edits? In this video, I'll show you how to master dodge and burn in Photoshop, even if you're a complete beginner. The method that I'm about to show you will be very simple and effective, easy for you to repeat over and over again. But let's talk about what dodging and burning is first of all. Dodge and burn is a technique that you apply to your photographs in any editing software. It doesn't have to be Photoshop. What it does is it lightens certain areas and it darkens other areas. When we use the term dodge, we mean lighten. When we use the term burn, we mean darken. So by utilizing both dodge and burn, we lighten and darken areas of the image. Again, dodging brightens specific areas while burning darkens them, creating depth and drama in your image. So let me show you on this sample image what dodge and burn will do. So the areas, the lighter areas like in the waterfall and the darker areas with the rocks and even the sky and the water, notice when I turn on the dodge and burn layer, you can see those areas change. And this is what's going to help your images stand out. Like I said, you're going to be able to create depth and drama in your image. I'm going to give you an action so that you don't have to remember how to set up dodging and burning with the method I'm going to show you. There'll be a link in the description. So now let's get everything set up so that we can dodge and burn. I'm going to use the dodge tool first. Here in the toolbar on the left, make sure that your brush is soft. I put the hardness all the way down. Range should be mid-tones and exposure around 15%. And for our burn tool, same thing. Mid-tones and exposure 15%. We're going to start off with our dodge tool. I'm going to create a new layer. Shift-Command-N mode is going to be linear light. And we're going to click on fill with linear light neutral color, 50% gray. And we can name this, I'll just say linear light, dodge and burn, and say okay. We're going to leave the opacity at 100, but we're going to change the fill to something like 15%. So the fill is what's going to control our dodge and burn, or the amount of dodge and burn. So now with the dodge and burn layer selected with the 50% gray, so when we brush, it's going to work slowly. And usually with dodging and burning, you're going over areas that already have highlights or brightness, and in the dark areas, you're going to do the burning. I'll start over here in this area, and I'm going to go through here kind of quickly, hit all these areas where there's any kind of a little highlight. And I'm using my left and right brackets to make my brush bigger or smaller. So right in the middle here, we're in this church here, and we're highlighting the middle mostly. You can see that there are bright spots on both sides of the inside of this church. And we're going to hit these quickly. You can take your time on yours, of course. I'm not creating any new highlights. I'm going over areas where there is already light areas. We're just going to make them stand out more. So if I turn off this layer, you can already see how the dodging has brightened up areas even more and making the middle of this room stand out more, specifically down here in the bottom. And this is totally your taste on how you want to do this. Now I'm going to switch over to the burn tool and make my brush a lot bigger. And I want all the areas, especially on the outside of this room here, to be darker. So I want the viewer's eye to go to the center. So I'll speed this up a little bit. So here now is the before, and here's the after. And you can see where the outside is darkened. And sometimes you may want to zoom in depending on the detail that you're working with. But I'm going to just keep this back so that I can see the whole thing. And so that adds more depth as it is and draws the viewer's eye to the center of the room. So the whole thing with using linear light is that now I can adjust the fill to add more or less of an impact. So if I add more, you can see that was way too much, but I can actually add to my adjustment. I could take it all the way down. I could say maybe to 22, but it gives you more range when you use the linear light. Plus, you probably will not have a color shift. So now here is the before and here's the after. And so when we use the linear light, this allows us to get more increase in the luminance of the colors when we adjust the fill. So that is the purpose of using linear light. Now if we were to do that same 50% gray and add a soft light blend mode, and we wanted to make it more impactful, we would have to duplicate the layer. But now all we have to do is increase the fill to get more intensity on our dodging and burning. Let's look at another example. So here's an example of an image where you might want to just add some light to the person's face. You can also add light in the background, like say to the cloud or to the water. But here I have an action and I'm going to give you this action. The link will be in the description. I'm just going to run it here. I'm going to press play, and that created my 50% gray layer with linear light. My fill is 50%. I am on the dodge tool, range midtones, and exposure 15. So I'm going to add light to her face and her neck and a couple other areas like on her arm, and darken other areas that are already light and dark, and maybe do a little bit in the background where the sky is and the water. So I'm on the dodge tool. I can just brush over her face like this, make the brush a little bit smaller on her neck, on her shoulder, anywhere where it's lighter. Back here on the water, up here on the clouds, something like this. There is the before and here's the after. Switch over to the burn tool. Let's get the water here, a little bit up here in the clouds. Darken this area back here, a little bit on her arms where it was already darkened, maybe up here near her forehead and hair. Brings everything out. Here is the before, here's the after. And again, the beauty of using linear light and adjusting the fill is I could either take some off of that, or of course I went up too far, but you can see that you can increase your impact by using the fill adjustment. So this is how you would add light to a subject using dodge and burn. Again, the before and the after. So here's an example of how you might want to use dodge and burn for retouching. So we have some highlights in the face, the forehead, below the eyes, dark areas on the cheeks, light areas on the chin, neck, shoulders, and here on the collarbone, you can see that there are some dark and light areas. So we can make those more pronounced. So I'm going to run this action again. Going to dodge. Let's do the lightening first, like on her shoulders, collarbone here. Going to lighten up that area. Anywhere there's already a highlight, we're going to emphasize it more. No need to reinvent any highlights here. We're not altering the structure of someone's face or body. We're just working on lightening and darkening areas that are already there. Like I say, if you really want to, you could zoom in if you need to. You can already see that there is some change, and it will be subtle to some degree. But remember, we still have the fill that we can add to our dodge and burn if we want to. So right now, just making sure that we get our areas that we want to lighten, not going to overdo it. And I think we just about got it for the dodging. And I think you will do more dodging than burning. We're going to switch over to the burn tool now. And these areas right above the collarbone, on the shoulder, they were already dark, just emphasizing them. Side of the neck here, maybe a little bit on the side of the face, cheekbone here, a little bit on the side of the eyes, tiny bit here on the nose, not much. There is the before, there's the after. And you can see that we have emphasized the light and dark areas with dodge and burn using the linear light blend mode. And I could still use the fill to increase the impact, but I don't think it's needed here. So that's an example where you can use dodge and burn for retouching. So now let's look at how we can make landscapes pop. Let's take a moment to look at this image. And here you have this waterfall. The water is pretty light, almost white. Rocks are dark around it, so making that water stand out would be nice. Even the water down here in this lake, we can make that darker. There's other areas of rock where we can make darker. We can make the top of this mountain here, if that's snow, anywhere that there's snow peaks, we can emphasize that. Dark areas of the sky where the clouds are, and light areas. So we have a few areas here that we can work on. So I'm going to run this dodge and burn linear light action. Press play, and we're ready to go. We'll start out with the dodging in the water area here. Go over this real quick. There's snow here. Go over that. Snow at the top of this peak. Snow way back here on the top of these mountains. The sky, we have light areas, you can hit that. All your eye sees that it would be nice to increase the impact. So we're doing this quickly. Switch over to the burn tool. We have all these rocks here. We're gonna darken up all the way back here where the snow is, the water. We're making the brush larger and smaller, the left and right brackets. So this can go pretty quickly. A little bit in the clouds, darken it up here and there, make those clouds look a little bit more threatening. So that waterfall is really beginning to stand out. And so let's take a look. Here is the before. Here is the after. And you can see that we've added dimension. Now this one here, we might increase it, the fill. And I think with a landscape, you can add a little bit more fill. There's the before and there's the after. So now you have the tools to bring depth, drama, and dimension to your photos with Dodge and Burn. Let me know in the comments below if you think that this was an easy method to follow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content on Photoshop. Remember, it's never too late to learn. Thanks for watching.